I grew up in a small town in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My parents split up when I was 6 years old. I was like 8 or 9 years. My mother suffered gender-based violence. And I remember the idea that I couldn't help her. I didn't know how to help her. It wasn't called gender-based violence. It was like a familiar issue or familiar violence. It was very important to me to maybe become a lawyer was a way to help other people. What can I do to change the situation? I don't want that other child suffer this kind of situation. And that is something that marked me and decided to grow up thinking that I wanted to be a lawyer. It was like, if you know the rules, you can change the reality where you are living and you can change that unfair situations. But we were working like in 5, 6, or 7 years actually in a criminal process. We started to see that actually in sexual violence, women usually didn't make a complaint or a statement because it was a very aggressive procedure. So we started to see that actually this kind of crimes, we are talking about sexual violence, it has a problem with the valorization of the evidence because actually happens in private places and you don't have witnesses, and sometimes the victim or the survivor take a very long time to talk about this because it's complicated, because it creates a trauma. And when we started to have a lot of cases about sexual violence, we noticed that there was one moment in that criminal process that was essential, and it has to do with the gender competent forensic examination. The victim has to face the legal system with this psychological examination. And usually they can't afford a consultation, a consultant or a psychological expert. And what usually happens is that this examination is very important for the result of the sentence or the rule of the judge. They don't prepare the victims for this moment. In all the cases that we apply gender competence expertise, we get to another result. It was like, what's going on here? According to the fellowship we are working right now, we ask public information to the Supreme Court to understand what are the protocols they are using in this kind of examinations. What are the tests they are taking to determine that if the victim has signs compatible to sexual abuse or not. We don't understand how they get to the result, what they consider, what they evaluate at the moment. But actually, we know that the judge consider the examination to convict or not the perpetrator. So we have a very, very big issue there in standards. We are trying to create in Argentina a public policy, and we are very grateful that SAHR is helping us, because we take every case we have been working and we have made a comparative between a case with interventions of gender competent psychologists or not. And it's amazing, the results. I believe that this kind of testimonies or examinations shouldn't be by video call. We have a lot of women that have no possibilities of having a computer, or they try to do this interview with her cell phone, and even their husband didn't know that she was suffering sexual violence. They tried, for example, to make that kind of examination in the bedroom and tried that. Her family didn't listen. It's absolutely uncomfortable. What kind of evaluation would you take in that conditions? To have a protocol according to gender perspective, we have seen that in this examination they ask about how are you dressed, how you look like. We believe we have a lot of work to do, and we are working with a psychological expert with gender competent to see what kind of protocol they should use. I learned from you, for example, Natasha. I suppose you learned from me too. That is amazing, because when you talk to me about Afghanistan and when I see what is going on in Colombia, I took the best of that situation and I try to apply in my country. I believe this is amazing, because we don't have this hierarchical system. We are in the same line trying to push the system together. We are all the time learning from each other, and we are building another world from the next generations. It doesn't matter the difference of culture or language sometimes, or where are living geographically. We speak the same language, and we want in a more equal society. I can't explain how amazing is to feel that.